They preach reform but bite their tongue, promise the moon but the same old song. Toadies and lice don't float my name. We need some moat to drown the shame. Branded far out, still holding tight. They dim the truth but burn a light. Crooked grins on a fancy coat. We need some moat to rock the boat. We need some moat, a wall, a chain to keep the lies from the pouring rain. Wading deep where the waters grow. Flush out the rock, let the river flow. A mask of change, a hollow sound, a dance of puppets spinning round. Can't stand the taste, can't vote my note. We need some moat to stand and glow. Lure them close and whisper sweet. Sink their boots, let them feel defeat. The struggle aches, the stories wrote. Hammer the iron to build our moat. We need some moat, a trench, a line to show their gold ain't worth the time. Wash them down where the currents tow. Drown the old, let the new seeds grow. Lure them close and whisper sweet. Sink their boots, let them feel defeat. The struggle aches, the stories wrote. Hammer the iron to build our moat. We need some moat, a trench, a line to show their gold ain't worth the time. Wash them down where the currents tow. Drown the old, let the new seeds grow. We need some moat, a wall, a chain to keep the lies from the pouring rain. We need some moat, a wall, a chain to keep the lies from the pouring rain. Wade in deep where the waters grow. Flush out the rock, let the river flow. Let the river flow. Lure them close and whisper sweet. Sink their boots, let them feel defeat. The struggle aches, the stories wrote. Hammer the iron to build our moat.
It's Friday night and we're all in.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, tab forces, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous. Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to. Something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to. Something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy. Don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy. Don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me?
Yeah, hey, it's Friday night. Welcome to All In. It's been such a crazy week. We had to bring in a seasoned professional to help us out. Ben, these boys back in town.
Well, I don't know about being a seasoned professional, but good evening, boys.
Good evening. It's good to see you.
Good evening. Yeah, it's nice to have Ben back for a while.
Oh, yes, it's nice. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. How are we all? Are we well?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
all
we
good.
are. We are.
Better than it's Friday.
Just for information, people, I put a super chat out today because we need some way of paying Ben for his appearance fee.
I'm not free anymore. I'm not free anymore. I don't come cheap.
So, right, let's, how are we doing? Oh, we're doing quite well in the chat. Nick to read us for some reason is over in the, oh, shit, I haven't started it. Right, now I'm started it. Nick to read us is over in the vertical stream. I knew there was something I'd forgotten. The vertical stream should have started now. Good evening. It's good to see you. You're late, but that's not your fault. It's mine. But anyway, good evening to the chat.
That's 100% yours. It's always going to be your fault, John.
Well, it always is, mate, because I don't have a producer. Anyway, Shalini,
Still moaning about that.
Britmate, Dreadeye,
Every
Julie,
single bloody week.
Theatre Lifestyle. That's Tiana. Yeah, good to see you, Tiana. Emma Watts. Hello,
That is Tiana, yeah.
Emma. Who else we got?
Hi, Emma.
Nick to read this is over in the vertical at the moment.
Next readers, you might need to join the other YouTube stream.
Yeah, but he wants to phone Ed.
I changed
Well,
it.
that's what I said.
I've
to John
changed it.
earlier.
I changed it. Don't fucking hell. You made me do it. Oh, good grief. There you go. Hey up, Yorkshire lad. Hey up. Paul Armstrong. Good to see you again, mate. Cheers. Right, okay. What do you think? I mean, the week is, it's like we said, Ed. We said that the news was getting more and more intense, and it's not letting up.
No, every week.
You know
And
how many-
it's coming in right up until showtime
Yeah.
as well. I mean,
And you sent me stuff this
I'm
afternoon.
not going to lie to you, boys.
Go
I
on.
don't really look at the news anymore.
Yeah, I know, but you know,
know, I've been briefed on a lot of what's going on, so I'm aware.
I like to stay up to
And
date.
I will add the occasional nugget of wisdom throughout the course of this evening, and I'm sure I will tell John that he's being an idiot at times as well.
Well, you know about this one, Ben, don't you? You know about this one. You know about the ninja swords.
I think this is ridiculous.
it's beyond ridiculous. It's literally, I mean, even Ted Cruz today, one of the best tweets that I saw today was Ted Cruz commenting on just what an absolute complete bleep the UK government is.
Let me interrupt you too. I know we've got the no swearing for the first 15 minutes rule, right? But I'm just going to point out that that's completely moot because there was plenty of F words in the intro.
But if you read YouTube's thingy, stuff in the intro is in music videos is not counted. Apparently, that's what it says in there.
I'm just gonna bleep myself out.
This platform is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I know.
It's mind-boggling. It doesn't make any sense, right? They change their rules on a whim. They don't tell you what the new rules are. It's a bit like this whole thing here. I mean, it is absolutely mind-boggling that they think this is going to tackle knife crime, folks.
But it's not. It's clearly, as the government always does, it lets them say that they're doing something, and at the same time distracts attention away from what the real problem is.
Just remember, folks, with Axel Rudapakana and his atrocities, it was Amazon's fault. That's what the government said. Remember, it was Amazon's fault. Yeah. And this is just that again. This is exactly that again. It's saying, oh, instead of we actually get to the root cause of the problem. And by the way, you can't put a blanket root cause on any of these problems because there never is a blanket root cause. You got to look at each individual case as an individual and take it on its own merits to see what that cause was. But our government, and let's face it, not just the Labour government, anybody sitting in the houses don't have the ability to do that, and they don't have the ability to even admit that because that would actually involve doing some work.
I don't know if it's ability. I think it might be they don't have the. They don't have, what would you call it? They don't have the. They don't want to do it.
Well, we live in a collectivist country, don't we?
Well, yeah.
Well, the thing is that they're operating on effectively Agenda 2030. All of the conspiracy theories about the Great Replacement and the Club of Rome.
I don't think it's even as deep as that.
Well, I'm not sure that the ones who are actually making the decisions are even aware of that. Because a lot of the stuff that the government is doing is based on what the think tanks say. Yeah. And they have policy advisors from think tanks who are plugged into all of this UN stuff. And it's just they're trying to push one agenda while trying to hide that agenda from the population and gaslight everybody into trying to make them believe that that's not what they're actually doing.
Whilst I completely agree that is happening in the background, I actually think things like this are simply down to the fact that the people running our country, this country especially, have an extreme collectivist mindset. And that collectivist mindset says that we look at something and we try and add a blanket, policy because, we've got to think of the rights, needs or whims of the group rather than looking at anything on an individual level. And I think that really is what it boils down to.
Yeah, but they also never look at history either. Sorry, go on, John.
And remember, the PM is a lawyer, and every solution to him
and a communist
seems to have to attract a new law.
Yeah, but and the media is not doing their job to start with, because if the media had any kind of sense of responsibility for what they're actually supposed to be doing and holding power to account, they would be saying to them, okay, well, you banned guns ages ago and we still have gun crime.
Of course they do, because the bad guys do not care whether or not they're breaking the law. Otherwise, they would not be bad guys.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's like, because like Japanese katana, some of them are really beautiful. And I mean, you have people that collect them as decorative swords.
You shall never have a decorative sword again.
I mean, if I was, I don't know. I think the Japanese government should get involved, because why are they just singling out Japanese swords? What about Chinese swords?
Yeah. What happens if you've got a Kawasaki ninja?
Well, yeah, I mean, all of the bad guys are just all of the bad guys are just going to switch
it off a cliff, John.
Freaking scimitars or something.
All the bad guys are running about with machetes. So this isn't going to make any difference anyway. And let's face it, if you want to make a knife, it's like a 10-minute job to make a knife.
But
and I'm not suggesting anyone out there should ever make a knife, but they're not hard to make if you get a lump of metal,
But also, you'll have people that shouldn't be in the country illegally.
Junkie Faggot says broadswords are fine, we're all good.
Well, you'll have people that are in the country illegally that have got a weapon that's illegal to carry around. Because I mean, my kung fu class, we have various weapons that we train with. Wooden swords. I've also got a Chinese training sword, like a metal one. And there's a strict rule that we are not allowed.
I'm just shocked that you go to a kung fu class. I'm not going to lie.
I have been for like 10 years.
No, I'm just shocked. This is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's my weekly stress relief.
He talks about it a lot.
But we have weapons, and one of the strict rules is that they always have to be in a case. We're allowed to get it out of the case at home, and we're allowed to get it out of the case in class. But if I, for example, I have this little green square because I don't have space at home to train with my bow staff, but I can't actually go down to Brighton Beach and get the bow staff out and do some swinging around because there I've got some space because I get stopped by the police.
And yeah, if you lived in China, right, communist country, you could be out there doing your Tai Chi and all your martial arts out in the open in your pajamas.
I mean, I could do Tai because I do a Tai Chi class as well.
Yeah, but you could be using your nunchakas and all that.
Right. Let me just let me bring this back, because when we go back to the root of what we were saying here, when I say that our Prime Minister Keir Starmer is a communist, right? First and foremost, I'm not being hyperbolic. This man spent his teenage years in the Soviet Union, having a grand old time. And this is the man that is now in charge of. Yeah, he's now in charge of our country, and they are not. These people's mindsets do not change.
Well, it's the Fabian, and the Fabian's logo is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, how much more obvious does it need to be?
I mean, their ideologies never changed. They simply put on a suit and tie and went to work, doing it behind the scenes.
It's like Freemasonry. It's just a charity to help people. They just help people out.
And they haven't got the memo that it doesn't bloody work. Right, let's move on. We'll spend the entire 2 hours talking about.
Yes, let's what we've got next.
Slide.
What you got for us now?
Right, okay, some somber stuff. Yesterday in Amsterdam, 5 people, of whom 4 were tourists, were stabbed by a man who reported to be a Turkish Kurd. He began in somewhere and moved somewhere else. And this is a brave Dutchman who stopped them. So the Dutch took action and got him stopped and arrested. In Berlin, a man is driving his car into a pavement full of people again. Many injured.
At least they said
information.
A man drove his car this time, because usually the headline is a car drove into him, like it did it itself.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd bring it up. So Europe's still in the throes of disaster, and you keep your wits about you, people. If you're out there, keep your wits about you. I mean, it's like when we play Fortnite. What am I like when I hear a car in Fortnite? Because I know they're going to try and run me over.
He runs around going,
Car.
He runs around going, car, it's a car. And then he hides in a bush.
Lawrence Fox charged with an offence for sharing that photograph of the TV star Narendra. TV star? That's a bit of a stretch, but Narendra Kaur. You're torn.
She was on Big Brother. I mean, her claim to fame is being on Big Brother and being a loudmouth on social media.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, and I'll tell you why I'm torn on this one. Right? Because first of all, let me say this outright. I do not believe he should be charged with a criminal offence. But in the same breath, I also think we should be able to call him an idiot for ever doing it in the first place, and not just an idiot, an arsehole for ever doing it in the first place. Because just because that picture's out there doesn't mean you take it and you show it. And what he was essentially trying to do was shame her. And I just don't like that sort of sinking to that level. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Well, Ben, fundamentally, I agree with you. And it's, personally speaking, that's not the kind of thing that I would ever do. And I don't have much respect for people who do that, regardless of how much you dislike the other person. Stooping down to their kids, what he's effectively doing is just stooping down to her level, and they're both in the gutter chucking let's face it, each other.
She's a really terrible person. Let me just say that as it is. She's a terrible person.
Absolutely.
I would go so far as to say, in my opinion, she is a massive racist. In my opinion.
Yeah,
I agree. I tend to find that the ones who scream racist the loudest are actually the ones who are the biggest racists.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look at her own statements to see this. She has a real disdain for white British people. She really does.
She does.
But fundamentally, if you look at the culture that she comes from, i.e. India, they're actually, especially with the caste system and stuff, I mean, this is a culture that has a class of people called untouchables who are responsible for diving into sewers. And we're talking about a country that has a space program and yet has vast numbers of people that live in poverty. I mean, it's am I racist for saying that it's a fundamentally racist society?
And they have a culture of lying as well. They're not very good at truth telling.
Well, I think it's. I don't know about that, but I do think it's partly the fault of the British, because I think that during British colonialism, I think that caste system in India was actually encouraged.
Oh, you mean the caste system? I thought you were talking about the lying. No.
Let me just address the chat.
I'm not saying anything about that.
Right, okay.
We're being asked who she is. So Narinder Kaur is a former British reality TV star. She was on Big Brother, right? And essentially what she has turned herself into is a political commentator on social media who just spews hatred and racism all of the time.
Whilst accusing everybody else of being a racist.
Yes, whilst accusing everybody else of doing it. But, like I said, what Lawrence Fox has done here is stupid. It's wrong. But, and the reason I say it doesn't fall to the level of a crime is because this was a publicly available, paparazzi taken, shared, and published photo. So, what should happen here, if anybody is to be charged with a crime, it should be the original pap. Because they made it available. And once it's in the public domain, it's...
Yes and no, because it wasn't a crime when they took the photograph.
No, it wasn't. So
and when it was made a crime, the photo sharing site that it was on took it down.
Yes. But the fact of the matter is, it was a publicly available and published image.
It was. Yeah.
Once the image is out there,
it's out there,
and it's been shared by thousands of people. What's happening now with Lawrence is just a witch hunt. It is.
But the problem is that this guy's going to end up in jail for this.
Oh, absolutely. He will end up in jail.
But given the current state of the judiciary, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah.
But it's actually it's going to have the opposite effect for what they intend, because it's just going to make him more popular, and it's going to turn him into more of a sort of
what I like to call the Tommy effect.
Figure.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it's the fact that this is even the fact that we're even talking about this in Britain in the year 2025 shows you just how far we've fallen, because this is more reminiscent of Germany in the 1930s.
Indeed.
Yeah. So basically, free speech in this country is gone. If it ever existed in the first place. I mean, because remember, we don't actually have a constitution in this country.
No, we
have
don't.
An implied constitution, but we don't have a codified, written down constitution. And so without such a thing, there's no protecting document that enshrines things like the right to freedom of speech in this country. And that's how our politicians can turn around and say stupid things like, oh, we do believe in free speech. Do you fuck? We're past 15 minutes.
It doesn't matter if they believe in it or not. Whether they believe in it or not doesn't matter. They don't apply it. That's the problem. Right, moving on. Speaking of free speech, these clowns, right, are falling apart, because while they stand there, the coalition of the willing, which has actually turned out to be a coalition of the completely disinterested, that are dropping out left, right, and centre, and arguing with each other all the time. So the good thing is NATO does appear to be tearing itself apart, as is the EU, which I can only endorse.
Yes.
The thing about Europe is that the glue that was holding Europe together was effectively the United States, and they were providing the security umbrella, and they were essentially giving member states who weren't towing the line a bit of a kick up the arse, and now the Americans are wanting to pull out, and Europe's natural differences and suspicions, like the issues between the French and the Germans, or the issues between the British and the French, these are centuries old issues that these countries have got, which are coming to the surface. But also, it's nice to see a bit of sense, because I don't particularly like Giorgia Meloni, but the fact that that she's taken the stance that she has is brilliant, because it's just showing the whole thing.
I mean, the way I look at the European Union, right, it's all of Europe under a single flag with Germany at the head. Seems like someone might have won.
They never lost, mate. Put it that way. They never lost.
I mean, we don't want to turn this into a discussion about the origins of the European Union.
Now, the European Union only actually came to be in about 1991. So,
but no, I mean the original
anyway.
European project, as it were, and a lot of it emanated out of Germany. And if you look at NATO, a lot of the people who started NATO were on the other side of the fence as well, and just happened to be German, and then became West Germany and stuff. But I mean, the faster this whole thing falls to pieces, and at the moment, I think we're down to just the British and the French, and they're arguing.
Yeah.
And I just think, do it. Send some troops in. The Russians are going to annihilate them faster than you can say.
The Russians are now on a roll, aren't they?
Absolutely. And the Americans, the British and French will go begging to the Americans with their tail between their legs, going, "Oh, please, Uncle Sam, come and help us." And Trump will just tell them
he blames the Dutch. Ed, I'm sorry that I kind of have to agree with him.
Mate, honestly, I've got 2 passports and I've got 2 royal families.
I've got 2 passports. I've got 2 passports.
And I think they're both wankers.
What have the Dutch done now?
He just blames the Dutch for everything by the sounds of it.
Starmer has said that MPs will vote on sending British soldiers to Ukraine in any scenario on a long-term basis. Starmer's off his trolley.
Yeah, Starmer is off his trolley.
And
even the British military saying it's a bad idea. That was one of the stories from
the week. We don't have the military force in this country. We do not have the military force in this country, especially if we end up in some kind of hot war with Russia.
Well, for about 10 minutes.
And it's so odd to me that a communist that was in love with the Soviet Union would want to send his army up against Russia. It doesn't compute.
But Russia's not a communist country anymore.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And I mean, Starmer I think it was his past as Czechoslovakia, which had its own issues with the Soviet Union. But I mean, history's moved on, and even just in the last 10 years, the change that has happened in Russia is absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, they've managed to build up their economy and kick Ukraine's ass all at the same time.
So,
what are we looking at here, John?
Well, what we're looking at here is the kind of thing that
it's a NAFO.
Yeah, this is the kind of jingoistic balderdash that maybe belongs back in the First World War, because nothing that this guy is saying can ever be backed up now. You know, dear Donald Trump, Britain here, I'm here to inform you that we are going into Ukraine, and if Putin kicks off, we're going to absolutely dismantle him. This is your last invite. Join now or you can't come later for all the fun. Kind regards, the British. That's not how I feel the British are looking at this.
Listen, boys and girls, right? I know people who work within the army and who work within army intelligence even. And they're saying exactly the same thing. We do not have the fighting force to go on the ground into Ukraine and go up against Russia. Now,
but the NAFOids are all losers.
Well, I mean, the NAFOs are, you know, do you remember that thing that they did, that little conference they did?
Yes.
When they were all together.
Well, the funniest one is where they all got ripped off because someone was planning a beach party in Crimea in 2023. Right. And in 2022, they were literally, there was loads of NAFOs that spent money on this beach party and then got completely ripped off, and the person organising it just buggered off with all the money.
I mean, these people, they're obviously paid actors, first and
foremost. But she's the NAFO queen on the screen there.
Yeah, Kaka Kallas.
Who's
been actually I'm not sure if there's another slide about it.
Probably I would like to welcome all of the fellas to this NAFO convention.
But she's gotten herself into trouble because the European governments are saying she's not representing us, and it's like she's making European policy, saying that there's exactly. Kaja Kallas is acting like a prime minister. The bloc's foreign policy chief has faced a barrage of criticism in her first months, from coming out too aggressively against Russia to challenging US President Donald Trump. And she's basically saying that we're in a state of war with Russia. The European government's like, no,
people need to understand how diplomacy works first and foremost. Diplomacy means you can be hard on your enemies behind the scenes, but very publicly, you don't make too bad a disparaging statement against them. It's essentially what Trump is doing. Trump is not coming out. Yeah, and Putin, but still, Trump is not coming out and he's not calling Putin every name under the sun. And the reason he's doing this is because he's probably doing it behind the scenes over the phone to him personally, first and foremost. But secondly, you don't do it publicly because you want them to come to the table. Because you want them to negotiate.
Diplomats don't even do that behind the scenes. If you look at someone like Sergei Lavrov, who is probably the best diplomat in the world since Bismarck, there's no way he would speak like that. And you look at the Chinese, what's his name?
Oh, the foreign minister.
Yeah, the foreign minister of China.
Yeah, the one that's been
really good one.
The one that's been to Africa 47 times.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about.
He's built a road in Africa, then, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, he's well invested in that. He's well invested in Africa,
built
mate.
A road in that place.
Yeah.
Hello, Africa. We like all your resources.
Well, the country that I was brought up in, just a little quick segue if we're talking about China.
China.
Zambia, there was a massive pollution spill into the Kafue River from the Copperbelt mines, and it's literally poisoned
one of the
most
green?
important rivers in Zambia.
Did it turn the fish green?
No, it just killed them all.
All right, okay.
And when you consider how many Zambians rely on that river for their daily bread or their daily fish, it's a disaster. But the point is that someone like Lavrov, it just makes Kaja Kallas look like a complete clown, and she's making herself look like a complete clown.
I mean, the European Union and their allies are going about this the entirely wrong way. They need, right, first and foremost, I don't like Vladimir Putin. Let me get that out the way with. I do not like Vladimir Putin. I do not like Volodymyr Zelensky. And to an extent, I don't really like Donald Trump. Okay? I don't really like any of these people.
I'm an equal opportunity hater. I hate everybody.
Well, I hate anybody that seeks power, really. But the reality of the situation is, in order to needlessly stop tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people from needlessly dying in endless wars, you have to come to the table and you have to negotiate. And if you're going to be calling publicly somebody names over and over again, they're not going to be incentivized to come to that table. So we're going.
But Europe aren't at the table. This is the point.
Actually,
this is what's driving them all crazy.
Right. So here's a story for you, Tiana. Okay, for your 17-year-old brain. So I was at school, and I'm probably around about 16, 17, and I had a small incident during class one day where I accidentally kneed the captain of the rugby team in the balls. And then he spent the whole day threatening to kill me, and that we were going to have to fight at 4 o'clock when the school finished. And I thought, I'm going to get my head kicked in. But, you couldn't back out of it because you're at school and, you just can't back out of these things. So anyway, 4 o'clock came and we're surrounded by the kids ready for the fight. And he comes up and he's going, "You're going to die." And I'm like, "Look, Billy, I have apologised, and I've apologised publicly, and I'm quite happy to do it again. But if you insist on making us fight, I will fight. I'm not going to stand and just take it." And he said, "Okay, since you've apologised, I'll let it go on this occasion." That's a little bit of diplomacy, and the playground diplomacy. And that's kind of what these guys have forgotten how to do.
Yeah.
But there are also, the thing is that with diplomats, the diplomatic corps and diplomacy as a skill has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
And there are all sorts of protocols and rules, and there's things that are done and there's things that are not done. And Kaja Kallas just does everything badly. But it's the same with Ursula.
I just want to interject into the chat. If you're asking questions, that's a really good thing, because regardless of whether or not you understand what we're talking about or what we're saying, the best skill that you could ever develop in your life is to ask questions. Ask questions of everything. Don't blindly accept what people are telling you. I've always said when I've been doing this show on the regular, don't even accept what we're telling you. Okay? Always go out, ask your questions, get your information from loads of different sources, from different places. Don't just look at one answer or one perspective. See what lots of people are saying, see what their evidence is, and come to your own conclusions. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with John. You don't have to agree with Ed. I mean, let's face it, many of us rarely agree with John. But it's the fact that you've got to come to your own conclusions. And the fact that you're listening, like Shalini says, and asking shows you are somewhat interested. And that's a good thing, because you need to engage that brain and you need to not blindly accept what people are telling you.
Right, moving on. 4 US Army soldiers who went missing during scheduled tactical training near Pabrad, Lithuania, have been found dead.
Well, this one, because it's
a weird one.
This one with you. It's a very weird one, because I wasn't able to glean any more information or details about the nature of the incident or what happened. But if you look at the little dot on the map, it's awfully close to the Belarusian border.
Well, yes, that was pointed out in one of the news articles about it. It was very close to the border.
I'm just going to say 2 words here, guys. Heaven's Gate. You're welcome.
What? That's Heaven's Gate got to do with it?
Well, because we don't know what sort of army soldiers they were. Were they trying to infiltrate? Was it some sort of, I don't know, was it some sort of CIA mission or special ops or someone trying to get into Belarus for whatever reason?
It's a kind of,
and they got caught and shot, and the whole thing's being covered up.
I think it's a classic case of FAFO.
Probably.
Yeah. Classic.
I think NAFO are going to end up finding out about FAFO.
Yeah, they've been knocking.
They already did when USAID got cancelled. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but they've been mucking around.
There's hardly any of the little buggers now. But
right.
Yeah, this is one to watch. I mean, I doubt we'll find anything more out about it, but it was just one that piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lithuania will continue to isolate Russia, bypassing the United States. My God.
It's not going to make any difference.
What's Lithuania got? Population of what? 2 million if you're lucky.
I was going to say 200 maybe.
The only people that I feel sorry for in all of this are the Russian-speaking people that still live in these Baltic villages.
Yeah,
because
up to 25%.
Yeah, and if anything would make the Russians attack the Chihuahuas, it would be if they started seriously mistreating the Russian population. And I mean, they're already segregated and isolated and cut off from Russia and all these other things. But the fact that these Baltic leaders are being given so much airtime and so much, they're being given a significance that they don't have, because these are not significant countries.
They're so aggressive as well.
Absolutely. They've just got decades and decades of Russophobia.
It's like my tiny dog, right? It's like my tiny dog. She absolutely makes extreme amounts of noise and screaming and barking anytime someone comes near the front door. She's not going to do anything. She's not got the ability to do anything. But my God, does she make that noise?
It's the old chip on shoulder, short person syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah. Small country syndrome.
And speaking of short person syndrome, Zelensky's been at it again.
He really needs to lay off the marching powder in the amphetamines.
I was about to say, how many times has that man been to the White House?
I'm not sure.
Remember when they found the marching powder in the White House, in the Biden White House? Had he recently been for a visit?
I don't think so. But having said that, right? So this is effectively a threat against the leader of probably the premier superpower in the world at the moment, especially, certainly militarily.
And the thing is that if the Russians wanted to take Zelensky out, they could do so very easily. There was at one point when the Russians were really starting to move, Zelensky was in a bunker and refused to come out until he got actual assurances from the Russians that they weren't going to target him.
That's true.
I do.
That's true.
And I mean, what he's
stay
actually,
in my bunker.
well, what he's actually referring to is probably the fact that Putin's been dying of cancer for the last 15 years. And I mean, it's like Western media have gone completely full on retard about ascribing all sorts of illnesses to Putin and body doubles and all this absolute total.
Didn't they say he had brain
nonsense.
cancer a few months ago? They're like Putin.
Oh, they've been saying that for 2 or 3 years now. But Nectaridus in the chat says there are lots of moustache man lovers in the Chihuahua countries. That's why they love. That's why they love. Why have they bred them like that?
I don't know.
And why hold on. Point of order. Why do you two know that? And I didn't. Why do you two know that? Are you both gay?
Shut up. Next slide. Weirdo.
I am so glad I don't have to deal with this every week, and I just feel for you, Ed. I feel for you, man.
The thing is,
it's cathartic.
The thing is, says Putin, that we have lots of friends everywhere in the West, in the East, in the North and the South, all over the world, and we have far more friends than people who don't really understand us. There are people who are in the so-called West, which actually like us. So this was Garashenko that posted this, making it seem that Putin was a lunatic. And actually, I think he's telling the truth. I think there are a lot of people that like Russia and what Russia's doing.
I definitely think he's a lunatic.
Who? Garashenko?
I think Vladimir Putin's a lunatic. I think Vladimir Zelensky's a lunatic, and I think pretty much all world leaders are lunatic. So,
I would agree with you about Zelensky, but I fundamentally disagree with you about Putin, because if you look at what he's actually done with Russia since he's been in power, and the way that he's turned the country from being, I mean, when Putin came into power, Russian inflation was about 2,500%. The economy was being completely raped.
Yep.
And he's turned that around, and he's stopped the rape of Russia. He's built it up. Everybody thought sanctions were going to completely destroy Russia, and they actually made it stronger.
4% economic growth year on year for the last 2 years.
The thing is that the West has this mythology that Putin is this kind of Vlad the Terrible type figure, and he has this iron grip over Russia, and he doesn't at all. He's part of a system.
That's not my opinion. My opinion is, and it always will be, that anybody that seeks power.
You stole this. You stole this from me. This is my saying. Anybody that actively seeks office should be disbarred from holding it.
I just think they're lunatics.
But Putin was selected by Yeltsin. It's not like he actually went into it trying to become president of Russia, and it took him a long time to find his feet as well. And I've got a lot more respect for him than any other world leader. And fundamentally, Ben, I actually do agree with you that most of these power-hungry world leaders are complete psychopaths. But my judge is what they do for the country that they run.
But Jesse calls him out in the chat. Ben does seek power.
I mean, have I ever at any point suggested that I'm not a lunatic?
No, you haven't, and I completely endorse that. And burdened by
slightly insane to be able to handle life in the 21st century.
You have to be slightly insane to be able to handle John.
Sorry for interrupting you there, Ed. My apologies.
Okay, it's fine. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Speaking
of course, Brit, mate.
Speaking by things that are taking a long time to get a handle on. Ed Miliband says international gas markets are 15% higher. Yet even as he made this claim, they were lower than in 2007. In 2007, UK households paid around 400 quid a year for gas. In 2025, despite international gas prices being lower than in 2007, the average bill has soared to £729.10.
That's called profiteering, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
I have this pet theory that the establishment has never forgiven the population for voting Brexit, and so they've allowed
the
utility companies to rape us, the water companies
Would
to
you
just
stop using that word?
profiteer and sorry,
Grape, say grape.
grape us. But the thing is that it's not a swear word, but that's what's happening, arguably.
Yes, I know that. We're not picking on
stop
you.
Using the word. No, it's not that.
It's a stupid algorithm.
No, I know. But the point is that unless Miliband is gotten rid of, i.e. sacked, very quickly,
we need another bacon sandwich photo and quick.
I mean, we've got another steel plant that's closing down because of energy prices, because it's all uncompetitive. We're the only country in the G20 that can't produce its own steel, and we have the most warmongering government of the lot.
Somebody get me Ed Miliband's parliamentary email address, because quite frankly, I can't be asked to get it myself.
And you're going to compose a strong letter.
No, I'll send him an email inviting him out for a bacon sandwich to see if he wants to accept. And then I'll have someone hiding in the bushes with a camera.
Right, so the question though that always bothers me is when you see Ed Miliband eating a bacon sandwich and then you see an AI generated image, you're thinking, actually, is Ed Miliband just AI?
I don't know, John. Is Ed Miliband just AI?
You sound like Liz Truss.
I
John.
I don't know. I try not to think about him too much because he just makes my blood boil.
Speaking of net zero,
they all make.
Well, some of them make it boil more than others.
Speaking of net zero, South Cambridgeshire District Council plans to bulldoze a precious orchard of 100-year-old fruit trees to build a 230 million green electric busway. They will chop down 520 apple, pear and plum trees, including 6 bramleys. Do you like the odd bramley apple pie?
Not enough. They should knock down more.
Why? You should cut down more trees to save the planet. Cut down trees, save the planet.
Just cut them all down.
Why?
I don't understand how these green people's logic works. Is that they want to plaster windmills and solar panels everywhere, and their electric busways and their bike lanes.
Yeah.
And by the time they finish, there won't be any nature left, and it'll just be we'll just have to put up with lots of communist posters or something. I don't know. It's depressing. The
planet will look like Gidi Prime.
It's going to end up. It's going to be properly Mad Max.
You know how guys. You know how I do a lot of travel content. There's a couple of places, Disneyland Paris and Portland's Park, right? And I think they are leading the way on, if you want to install massive solar farms, they're leading the way on how to do it, because they're just building shelters over the car parks. So they've got their car parks, and then they're just covering all the spaces.
That's not just Disney. That's France. France does that.
Yeah, but they're doing it here in the UK as well, at Portland's Park.
Right, okay.
And I think this idea, if you really want to build solar farms, and you've
put
already
them
got
over car
massive
parks.
Standing car parks, put them on top of car parks. It works well.
If you must,
But solar panels don't work well in the United Kingdom. I mean, there was a UN report saying that we're bottom of the list.
How else am I going to grow my Uruk high?
Yeah, but we're at the bottom of the list of countries where it makes sense to install solar panels. The whole thing. I mean, we now find out that one of the big things that GB Energy is doing is buying loads of solar panels from China that are being made with questionable labor practices. And putting them on hospitals and schools and stuff, and then we have to have a backup source because they're not always there. Meanwhile, we've got loads of. If you actually look at the different reserves of oil and gas that we've got in British waters, that are easily accessible and easily exploitable, that they're just leaving in the ground. I mean, we've got enough gas to satisfy our own needs.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're literally destroying the country, and then you look at this, and it's like, couldn't these green idiots put this, like, go round the orchard or something? I mean, it's just mental. Right, next slide, because otherwise I'm going to start properly losing my nut.
Just a little bit of an aside. In 8 days' time, so next Saturday for the morning, I shall be in the lovely city of Brighton. If anybody would like to go for a coffee. Just saying, if you're out that way, I shall be in the lovely city of Brighton for the morning.
Hit me up offline, and we could always meet for coffee.
We could take some selfies and say, "Look, John, you're missing out."
Okay, thank you. Right, this is Narinda. Remember, we said she wasn't too bright.
Why do we have to have?
And I'll also be in Brighton for the day a few days later. But
I thought this explained our thinking processes or not. So when they had the George Floyd riots, I hope they riot in every state in America. This was murder and off. Okay, that's her opinion, and that's as reported, not my opinion. So nothing to do with me, YouTube. And then Narendra Kaur then says that Elon Musk is trying to start race riots in Britain.
You just reinforced everything that we were saying about her earlier on.
Yeah, very much so. Speaking of USAID, which we weren't, but we did earlier, Just Stop Oil to hang up the high vis after 3 years of climate action. Oh, final gathering in April will mark end of street protests, although campaign to continue in courts and prisons. That's because they're already being charged and awaiting trial. But yeah, no, I think their funding's drying up.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if part of their disruption was to make life as difficult as possible for the previous government.
Yeah,
in order to usher in the new government, who's being supported by a lot of the same rich people who are paying for these Just Stop Oil people, and I use people in inverted commas. I think it's great because we won't have ambulances being held up on the way to hospital, or normal people going about their daily lives having to put up with massive queues because of people that have glued their faces to the road, or emergency services having to waste their time ungluing said people or defacing national treasures like the Magna Carta and paintings.
Yeah, we're still in the teens. I'm going to move on.
I'm not going to lie.
No, go on.
I am a little bit sad. I'm just going to say,
because
I'm a little bit
I know.
They're just such a great content farm, aren't they?
And you never
They're
did
just such a fantastic.
But you never did your parody of them that you were going to do. Remember when you were going to go to Tesco?
Have the Just Stop Lettuce high vis.
Yeah,
I've got the high vis. It says Just Stop Lettuce on the back of it and everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I mean, look at me. I'm cutting a much trimmer figure these days, and I still haven't embraced lettuce.
So the guy that they arrested for targeting the Tesla collision center in Las Vegas, Nevada, was 36-year-old Paul Kim on arson charges and possession of an explosive device. Now, I understand he's also a millionaire.
Well,
you kind of have to be in order to start getting explosive devices, right?
Not in America, surely.
It's just the level of, I mean, just the level of violence and the disdain for people's lives and property and everything else. I'm glad. I hope he gets. I hope they put him away for a significant period of time.
Here's a weird one. Speaking of Koreans,
I agree.
This sinkhole opened up in Korea, and see that motorcyclist that's just about to drive into it. He disappeared into that hole, and found him 3 days later. Unfortunately, not well, i.e., not living. But 65-foot deep sinkhole. It took them 3 days to find them.
What is it about all these sinkholes opening up everywhere all the time?
Lizard people.
We don't do proper surveys. We just build shit. It's like Florida, right? The state of Florida is basically one giant sinkhole.
Well, it is, yeah.
That may well be why, but we're also seeing sinkholes happening in places that were seemingly previously stable, and suddenly a big hole opens up in the earth. I mean, nobody seems to be connecting them. I don't know if they are connected, but it just seems to be happening a lot, or maybe I just noticed them more. I don't know, but I feel sorry for. I mean, let's face it.
How old is ground penetrating radar technology?
Oh, it's pretty old.
30 years max.
Yeah.
Right, 30 years, maybe 50. Okay, but the point of the matter is that anything built before that time, you weren't even able to do such a survey. Yeah, you could do a drink, sink a drill and do a borehole and things like that, but you're still not going to find a sinkhole. And the thing is, if there's water running under there and it's just washing away and washing away and washing away, then eventually it becomes unstable, bang, It's going to happen.
This sinkhole was
we could all be sitting on top of a sinkhole right now. We don't even know it.
This sinkhole was in Seoul in South Korea. Fluffy. Right, moving on. This guy apparently lost £150 on his Ozempic, but then says he's also losing his mind, memory, speech, sight, and hearing. He can barely walk or eat. Well, if it's cured that problem, eating was obviously your problem before.
Let me tell you why.
Because
semaglutides are not for weight loss. Semaglutides are for people with diabetes. Mm-hmm. And you know, when people started using semaglutides for weight loss initially in the United States, I imagine quite a few people with diabetes died because they were unable to get their medications because people kept buying them out for their weight loss.
Well, it's classic big pharma nonsense. When they came up with aspartame as a sweetener, they were actually intended it as for another purpose. I can't remember off the top of my head.
There's aspartame in there.
Yeah, and they realized that it was really sweet, and so they decided to market it as a sweetener instead because they realized they could sell much more of it. And like throw kind of caution to the wind and just start putting this stuff in everything. And it's not healthy. And it's the same with Ozempic. And it's also a really good example of why you shouldn't cut corners. I mean,
but let me also circle back to my entire argument about anything and everything, which is freedom is a thing that I am absolutely a big fan of. And if people are able to access this stuff and want to pay for it and it's going to help them and they want to do it of their own volition and they inject it into their own body, it's not my place to stop them doing it.
No, I agree. But if you then end up not being able to remember anything or
the consequences of your actions. Consequences of your actions.
Hold on. Does that see? There's a bit of a quandary here, isn't there? Because if you allow people, there is, because if you allow people to deliberately harm themselves, right, and then you have to pick up the pieces, who's paying for their medical care? That's the problem. We are.
Oh no, I would actually insist that and I'm going to say this: if a medical issue is entirely 100% self-inflicted, you should be responsible for solving that issue. If it's entirely 100% self-inflicted.
Okay.
Right, moving on.
So apparently the UK is...
I agree, Ben, fundamentally. But we're going to be here until 2 o'clock in the morning.
So the UK is the second most miserable country in the world.
I want to know who the first most miserable country is in the world.
Yeah, so do I, because that would be a shock, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Somewhere more miserable than it. Well, actually...
North Korea?
Actually... Well, how many Middle Eastern dictatorships are there? They're probably all more miserable than us, to be fair.
Well, I don't know, because if you actually look at, I mean, even in places like Gaza, as miserable as those people must be and as miserable as their lives must be, you actually still see pictures of kids playing, even though, I mean, there was one tragic video of a kid that didn't have any legs, and he was still like running around with a smile on his face and obviously not happy. But I don't know. It's just people.
Sorry.
When you have all of that stuff going on and you have an enemy to fight or you've got a lot of adversity, people seem to thrive in adversity to start with. But the problem with the UK at the moment is just this sense of grim hopelessness.
Yeah. See, I get that, but the thing is, let's go back to what I was just talking about being self-inflicted.
Uzbekistan is considered the most miserable country in the world.
The sense of hopelessness in this country is entirely self-inflicted, and I'll tell you why. Because people can say, oh, it's the Conservatives or it's Labour, but fundamentally they're the same thing. They're the same entity, right? I call them the Purple Party. They're two cheeks of the same arse. And we keep playing within this system that allows these people to continue to do to us what they are doing to us. And until we step back and we say it's the system that's at fault and we need to change the system, and I'm going to say it, we need a codified constitution that enshrines individual rights and freedoms. Until we get that, we are going to continue to inflict this misery upon ourselves by going to the ballot box, playing with the first past the post system, and putting the Purple Party in power over and over again.
Moving on, Lithuania is now grinding the CCP off its manhole covers. Why? Why bother? Who cares? I mean,
they probably can't make new ones.
Yeah, but these covers have been there since the CCP, since they were in the CCP. But why bother grinding them off now?
Well, this is the insane, stupid amounts of Russophobia that are happening in these Baltic countries. And they're going to end up in a position where I don't know. I don't know whether they're just trying to wind Russia up or whatever. And as long as they're allowing the sort of Russian-speaking population to have a certain amount of freedom, but if they start oppressing them, that's when bigger problems will start.
Okay, I before we even start getting into this, right, I will simply ask a question and then I think we can move on. And this is a question that I can throw out into the ether. What has the everyman Russian, the individual Russian, the person that does the 9 to 5, wants nothing to do with fighting a war, wants to just get on with their lives, have to do with anything? It's like this town that I live in. You know where I live, Ed and John. Mm-hmm. We cancelled the Russian ballet and we celebrated it. Why did we do that? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, mate. It doesn't.
I mean, I have a real issue about it. It's like cancelling Russia out of the Olympics, but letting Israel participate.
It's like they flung the Formula One driver out of F1, Mazepin, because he was Russian.
Absolutely, and it's so wrong, and they're doing it in our name, and I want nothing to do with it. Literally.
I want nothing to do. Right, I'm all for criticizing and fighting against with words and more if really necessary leaders who bring this wrath upon themselves. But I'm not here for bashing the everyman that just wants to get on with their lives, have their kids grow up in relative safety and enjoy themselves. I'm sick of this shit, and I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, look, the Russians." Okay, well, the Russians aren't really responsible for the actions of Putin. The Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are not responsible for the actions of Zelensky.
Well, exactly, because
the Israelis are not responsible for the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu.
We're not responsible for the actions of Starmer.
Exactly.
Right. Anyway, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to go and grab myself some more water. But
you guys, on the water. What's going on there? I think he's ill.
You guys can talk about this next one. I'm sure you can spin it out for a minute while I grab some water.
Oh, God, I dislike this guy.
I hate him.
Can't pay, he'll take it away. Reform will scrap the NH. I mean, apart from, I hate both of them, Labour Party and Farage. I think that the way that Rupert Lowe was treated was just, well, more importantly, Rupert Lowe's staff, because Rupert Lowe, okay, he's in the public eye, he's a politician. How he was treated was despicable. But what they did to his staff
was even worse.
Next level. But for the Labour Party to be trying to do this when it was the Labour Party under Blair that started the whole privatisation thing, and have actually done more to ruin the NHS than anybody else.
Ed, I've been pointing that out on this show for 5 years.
I mean, it's just the whole thing. Politics in the UK is just so utterly despicable that I mean, I can understand, because the Rupert Lowe he started a crowdfunder for an inquiry into that thing that I'm not allowed to talk about or I'll get into trouble. And it's raised, last time I checked, it was on £170,000 and it's been about 12 hours.
That's not bad.
No, but the other thing that makes it even more satisfying is that one of the things I've been seeing in the news about Rupert Lowe's popularity, particularly on Twitter, is that, it's a bot farm, and I'm not sure they quite blame the Russians, but they probably are thinking about blaming the Russians. But so it's bots that raised nearly 200 grand in 12 hours.
Well, exactly. But you've got to remember, Ed, if it's something that the perceived left, and I don't like using the terms left and right, but if it's something what people perceive as the left don't like, it's always the Russians. Yeah. The Russians are always responsible.
Yeah.
Because
well, it's either the Russians or climate change.
Well, they're just both of these things are just an evil boogeyman, aren't they? They are the boogeyman. You can just say it, and because we've done things like ban and block Russia today, they can't really talk against it. They can't really say, "Oh, it wasn't us," because they don't really have the platforms to do so. Now, I'm not saying that people should or shouldn't go and consume Russia today. What I'm saying is people should make up their own damn minds. But taking away the ability to do so, well.
But you don't censor things. People censorship doesn't happen from a position of strength. It happens.
The bad guys are the ones that burn the books.
Precisely, and it's if you're so confident in your own message and you're so confident in your own version of the truth, you don't need to censor anybody. I mean,
I'm not confident in my ideology, and I never will be confident in my ideology, and I'll tell you why. Because the world is an ever-changing place. Ideas change. People can make compelling arguments, and I think if you are to be a reasonable, rational person and navigate this world, you've got to be able to have your mind changed.
Well, look at the last time we did a political compass test, Ben. You came out right of centre, and I came out left of centre.
Very slightly right of centre, and you came out, and I used to be quite far left of centre.
Yeah, and some people thought I was very far right.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm ever so slightly right of centre. But what I will say is, we both fall very, very strongly into the libertarian.
Yeah, we're right. We're right in the middle. To be fair, there's nothing between us.
I once had some idiot say to me on X, on Twitter, that libertarian's as far right as you can go. Well, you can be a libertarian right winger and a libertarian left winger. Libertarian simply means that you espouse the ideals of liberty, of individual rights and freedom. And you can come at that from both a right wing and a left wing perspective. But then again, these people, I'm not going to turn around and say that I'm a professional political pundit. I'm not. But I like to think that I know enough, and we can hold a good conversation.
Small government. Right. Okay, moving on. 2 people aged 75 and 66 have been arrested in the Highlands in connection with vandalism at the Trump-Turnberry golf course earlier this month. So
in their pension.
This is just BBC propaganda, isn't it? They've been propagandized by the BBC, and they've gone down to Turnberry and badly graffitied the entrance to Turnberry.
Prime example of what I was saying to Tiana earlier. These are people that do not question what they are told by the sources they perceive to trust. And then what they do is they see it as a rallying call. Trump's a bad man. It's a rallying cry, and then they go, "Do you know what? I'm gonna say this. You guys might be shocked by this, right?" But Dexter said that he liked Donald Trump at school.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wrote it down in a notepad and told us it was a problem.
Why? Why is that a problem?
Because we are living in an orthodoxy where you have to believe a certain thing.
Yeah. See, that's out of order, because that's the problem with schools. They don't educate, they indoctrinate.
I agree. And that was that today or yesterday they told you that Dexter said he liked Donald Trump, and that was presented to you as a problem.
Britmate doesn't understand that Britmate, that place Turnberry is owned by Donald Trump.
That's Trump's golf course.
Yeah, and he's got another one up near Aberdeen.
If schools were doing their jobs properly, they'd be encouraging debate, and they would say, "Okay, well, why? Okay, Dexter, why do you like Donald Trump?" And the thing is that they're not.
He just thinks he's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is a thing.
He's an 11-year-old autistic kid, and he sees the things he does, and he thinks he's funny.
Yeah,
right.
The simple fact is that for the school to even do that in the first place, someone just needs a slap.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But
it's also, they seem so quick to want to vandalize and cause criminal damage. And at the same time, they then accuse the other side of doing that which they do. I mean, it's the Trump derangement syndrome, Putin derangement syndrome, and Musk derangement syndrome
the
need
must
to be.
arrangement syndrome is the worst one.
Oh yeah, it's gone.
Well, they need. I mean, they need to go in that book of all of the different mental health problems, and just treat it with large amounts of Prozac or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just chuck them a few antidepressants, maybe even the old haloperidol, the antipsychotic.
Right. Okay. This is not medical advice, and we don't give medical advice on this channel. Anyway, moving on. A turtle stranded in Wales, of all places, after Trump aid freeze. So as part of the as part of the USAID freeze on spending money on conservation, this Kemp's Ridley sea turtle, which is normally found in the Gulf of, dare I say it, the Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America, we've got to say it right.
Yeah, Gulf of America. Kemp's Ridley sea turtle was washed ashore in Wales and has been nursed back to life, and they want to release it in the wild, but they can't release it anywhere except in Gulf of America. But the Americans won't allow it to be imported, so it's in limbo. Poor turtle.
And
think of the turtles.
I mean, yes, conservation is important, but when you're $36 trillion in debt,
I'm going to sound very heartless here.
Go on.
I'm sorry, but I just don't care. I just don't care.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
I mean, why is this news? Why is this news?
It's anti-Trump. It's Trump
just because
syndrome because the BBC are trying to. The BBC are feeding that whole thing that we had with the golf course bad graffiti. That is essentially it's the people that are
propaganda.
reading the stories about the BBC blaming Trump for the poor turtle stuck in wherever it is.
Yeah.
And it just feeds that Trump derangement syndrome.
It does. Anyway.
This next one.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pause you all right there because you guys have got to remember John has a super chat goal in the chat tonight. Also, you can become a member of this channel. Have you got a 99p level, John?
Yes, I do.
You can become a member of this channel from just 99p a month, help support John as a creator. But also, what you can do is if you're feeling generous, you can actually go to the join button and or that little money symbol down there under the chat, and you can gift memberships to other people. Now, you can't gift those memberships, directly. You can't direct the gift, but you can do it, and then it will randomly allocate that membership to somebody else. And it's just a way of giving back to the creator, and maybe encouraging John to do some members only stuff as well, and getting you guys a little bit of extra content.
There you go.
And also, he's got to pay me for my time tonight.
I'll be paying him behind the door, as they say. I'm surprised you actually know what that means. Right. Well, that says symbolic, but I would say more.
He doesn't have to pay me yet.
More virtue signalling. Germany destroys the most modern coal-powered plant in Europe, which operated only 6 years and cost billions to build. And yet,
meanwhile, they've got sky-high electricity prices.
And remember, they knocked down a wind farm in order to dig up the lignite underneath it to burn, and lignite is the dirtiest coal available.
And at the same time, they're wanting to remilitarize.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what the hell is wrong with European governments? They're just, I mean, they're I don't know.
It's self-destructive behaviour.
It's because the Dutch have got the same thing, because the Dutch and the British share a gigantic gas field.
Damn Dutch!
For the Dutch, it extends right in to the point where it's actually really easy to get to, and it's got enough gas in it to power the whole of Europe. And they're doing stupid nonsense like this. And they're actually, the Americans are talking to the Russians about restoring the Nord Stream, and then the Americans acting as an intermediary and getting a cut on the gas. And the Europeans are completely dead set against getting any gas from Russia. And the economies are deindustrializing, and it's very difficult. You have all the conspiracy theories about Europe being destroyed and that kind of thing, and you think, oh no, you just sort of scoff at it, and then you actually look at what's going on in Europe and you just think, hang on a minute, maybe that's what's actually going on. There
was a guy on X the other day complaining that the sanctions weren't biting against Russia because of the Europeans still buying their energy off them. And my point was those pesky Europeans, you'd expect them to freeze to death, ruin their economy.
I mean,
just give up, Why would those pesky Europeans think about continuing to live?
Well, it's just barking mad. And apart from anything else, how environmentally friendly is it to burn all of that carbon to build a modern coal-fired power station and then dismantle it well before its operational life is ended? You've just wasted all of that carbon.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, it was supposedly it was super efficient, and the emissions were all like filtered, and it was actually a really eco-friendly coal-fired
it's not eco-friendly. This stream, if it keeps going at this rate, because we're going to be here till 3 o'clock in the morning.
We need to get our skates on.
Whilst you change the slide, I'm just going to address Journeying John in the chat and say, yes, Ed is half Dutch, but we try not to hold it against him. Sometimes we do, but we try not to.
Right, so on the basis of Snow White opening,
I'm enjoying this too much.
On the basis of Snow White opening to a 45 million opening weekend, or 43, I think it was actually, which is probably one of the worst ever. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but my synopsis, I just made this up kind of off my top of my head, as they say. But my synopsis of this Snow White tale is: coloured girl gets in tow with a thief, runs away from her family, raises an army, and overthrows a government. Is that not
pretty much what the story of this one is? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the original stuff. It's not really a remake more than it's a reimagining. But the problem with this is that Rachel Zegler, apparently she's not even the worst thing about the movie, because I can tell you from experience, the girl can sing. Yeah. Right? The girl can sing, the girl can act. She was, for those parts of that movie, she is probably a really good choice. She's a great singer. She's a good actress. Not a great actress, a good actress. However, she spent the last 3 years making outlandish, ridiculous statements that actually permeated the mainstream. Now, a lot of these online arguments about pop culture and movies and things like that, they don't harm the box office of a movie. But when the backlash was so severe about the things that she was saying and the things that Disney were doing, that they reshot the movie basically in full twice. Same with Captain America, by the way.
Just sorry. Carry on.
Are you getting messages that you're laughing? Are you laughing at me, John?
No, not at all, mate. I would never do that. Never.
I'll walk off the show.
Oh my God! It's traditional that you do walk off at some point. You normally do, don't you?
I know. As is tradition.
Well, I personally think it's actually maybe Bob Iger should make better movies, and because Disney recently they put out a film and it's garbage and it gets completely slated, and everyone slates it for the same reason, and they don't learn. They just produce another film. But what's worse is that they seem to get more woke each time. They
keep injecting modern day politics.
See, this is the problem. It's not insane. It's not just Disney. Hollywood just seems to be doubling down on this. They haven't realised that the message doesn't work.
Parents, don't they?
Yeah, but Hollywood Disney in general is still
parents,
they're still doubling down on it. They're still going at it.
Well, they think they know best.
Yeah.
And if you then look at, because there was that Chinese animated film that broke all sorts of records. It's the most.
Well, look at Godzilla.
The highest box office rated animated
Godzilla
film
-1
ever.
was amazing.
And it made like $1 billion in its first.
Godzilla
weekend.
-1 was made on the cocaine budget of most movies.
Well, this is the thing, is that as these other countries start to express themselves more, there'll be more competition. But Disney just needs to go in the bin.
Hong Kong Kung Fu movies, that's what we want. Right, moving on. Julia Heartless Brewer Right, Julia Heartless Brewer said, young man in my tube carriage this morning clutching a half-drunk bottle of Stella at 8:30 a.m, loudly demanding that we all cheer up. Thanks for that excellent life coaching moment, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, Julia Heartless Brewer, it's a better moment than you've ever given us.
Well, I mean, he was probably still drunk from the night before. He's probably been out, had a really good night with his friends, and he's on his way home.
As long as he wasn't being, threatening or anything like that.
I mean, you can imagine
to cheer
your
up.
average. The thing is, you can well imagine what your average tube carriage is like at 8:30 in the morning, particularly whichever one that Julia Heartless Brewer is getting on. And I can imagine people just taking one look at her and thinking, "Oh God, it's not her again."
Right, we're going to speed things up because we're going towards
speed run.
No, we're going towards the funnies. Right, here we go.
Because we got 4 minutes till my contract is over, and then you're going to have to start paying me double.
Grandfather expresses he regrets it a little bit now that a highway was built around his house after turning down $220,000 to relocate.
And it's China as well, so there's no stopping development.
Yeah,
$220,000 in China would go a long way.
That's a long way, yeah. Now, this is a clip from a video, but I won't be playing the video because you know what happens when we play video. But have you seen this video? The Tate brothers dancing.
Oh God, I saw about 5 seconds of it, and I just thought,
you know what Top G stands for, don't you?
Top gay.
That man is so far in the closet. He's having adventures in Narnia.
Yeah.
And yes, I did steal that joke.
I mean, I'm not a fan, and that's all I'm going to say.
No, I'm not a fan.
He's an absolute arsehole.
Ben, has this situation ever happened to you?
I can't. When the kids walk in and you try to act like you weren't doing anything, I couldn't possibly say, John.
Look at that lizard. That lizard's finger. Why has he got one finger stuck out like that?
Well, I was walking into my local. I did my shopping earlier, and I walked in to get the trolley, and there's this very distressed-looking father and mother, and they have a little baby in a pram, and this little toddler that's just going, "Mom, Mom, Mom, Mom," and I walked into Sainsbury's thinking, "I'm so glad I haven't got any kids."
I'm looking at the chat and I'm thinking they all know this situation all too well.
Yeah,
Jesse DW, Nectaridus, you all know this situation. I think to be fair, most of us do.
Right. If you drink 2 litres of water a day, you'll be too busy peeing for other people's drama. I can testify.
That's also
I can testify to that. Cheers.
Oh my God, I'm still shocked you're not on the booze.
Right. Was that a fart, darling? Some of it was. Hey, comes to us all.
Talk about descending into the gutter.
Meanwhile, in West Lothian,
I think that's John just making a tacit admission there. Ed.
No, I was joking. But meanwhile, in West Lothian, if you want the door to open that way, it's going to have to go on upside down. Look at the state of that.
Yeah, but do you know why I'm not going to laugh? Because nothing Scotland does shocks me.
And then we got a couple of...
I'm half Scottish.
Yeah. Yeah, so you say. But anyway, we got a couple of tweets from PETA here. A fish life is just as valuable to them as yours is to you. How come fish can eat other fish, but we can't eat fish? The one that gets me, though, is...
I mean, great.
PETA goes, did you know you can keep mosquitoes away without hurting them? Try keeping basil plants nearby. They dislike the smell. Why wouldn't you want to hurt a mosquito?
I also find a flamethrower does a good job too, you know?
Yeah. Copious amounts of...
flamethrower, they're not going to feel that. It's
copious amounts...
quickly.
Copious amounts of fire. Right. The training for the Tripping the Colour this year is going to look a bit shit, isn't it? As these guys
looking at?
these guys are prancing around on hobby horses. You remember the Finnish Hobby Horse Championship? Were you still around when we did that one? Oh, no.
No, we did the Finnish Hobby Horse Championship.
Do you remember the Finnish Hobby Championship?
I think you need some alcohol, man.
How?
What is this slide?
That's them on hobby horses.
I don't know what he thought.
This is John on water.
They are tripping around a horse arena with hobby horses. See the wee horse poking out. They're on hobby horses. You know those wee type.
Why do we care?
Because they're nuts. These are grown men.
Did you know that the British Army now has more horses than tanks?
That's almost definitely true. And to address Tiana, we'll be jumping on Fortnite after this as well.
Right, the Iraqis made a bronze monument to honour the guy.
My brain.
To honour the guy who threw a shoe at President George Bush. Look at the freaking state of that.
Well, I think it was an actual mock-up of his shoe, and you have to understand that in that particular culture, it's literally the most insulting thing that you can do.
I know that. You're like wrestling, Ben. Can you tell me what move's this called?
I mean, I could tell you, but it might get censored by YouTube.
I was thinking it was something like the spoon or something. No.
the grapey spoon.
It's like the guy's faces in the background. Oh my god! We have achieved penetration. Right, this should be illegal. This should be illegal. This guy is eating a banana with a spoon. That I have never seen anything anywhere as near gay as that. I really haven't.
Did you just say as gay as that?
Yeah, I did. I said that. This
what are we 14 again?
Yeah, this guy, Mr. Sig, used to go around hospitals and give people free cigarettes to patients.
Yeah, and the patients probably recovered quicker than they do now. At least he's not being, the poor bastard's not being put on morphine and midazolam.
I mean, I will say this, despite the fact I've been off cigs for like 3 years now. When I was in hospital earlier on this year of a kidney stone, and when I was in hospital last year having an emergency appendix removal, I could have done with Mr. Sig. I really could have done with Mr. Sig. I really could have.
Right,
hi
Ben.
There, Ben. Please have this 20-pack of smokes. Oh, yes, thank you.
Right, Ben, voice this one. You're good with the accents.
Karaoke, miss? Okay, one song then.
Karaoke? Karaoke? Right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What was this guy freaking thinking? I mean, knowing he was going to be on TV, what the freak was he thinking when he painted his head? This guy's on national TV. I think he was on NHL.
Is that even a guy?
Yeah, it's a guy. He's like a football coach or a basketball coach. No, it is a guy. Why? Look, he's got a moustache. But anyway, what was he thinking when he painted his head? That's mental.
I'm not going to lie to you, John. I quite like it.
You would.
Can you tell me where you were between 5 and 11? Yes, primary school.
That's a bit of policeman humour. You'll have to excuse everyone.
Oh, actually, I got a story today. I was talking to someone who knew an old cop, right? And he said that
we were on the funny section.
This is a funny. I'm going to give you a funny story.
You were the one that said we have to move this along.
Yeah, but that's fine. I've only got 3 slides left now. Okay.
Woohoo.
So we only have to move this along when you want to. Okay, I get it.
Oh, I just need to get back on track. Anyway, I'm going to tell you this story. So, I think
he's going to tell it, isn't he?
It happened back in the 60s. It's not a long story, and it'll be shorter if you actually stop interrupting. But, so anyway, this guy gets pulled over for drunk driving, and the cop's coming towards the car, and the guy jumps out the car And he is pissed. And he walks up to the cop and goes, I'm absolutely drunk, officer. And the cop's like, you are drunk? And he's going, yeah, I'm completely drunk. So they take him back to the station, process him, and do him for drunk driving. Okay. And then he gets to court, and he stands up in the dock, and the judge says, were you drunk? And he's going, yeah, I was drunk. And why were you driving the car? I wasn't driving the car. It was a left-hand drive car. He jumped out the driver's side, right? Which would normally be the driver's side.
Mm.
But the cops never checked the car. The driver was actually in the left-hand drive. So they did him for drunk driving when he wasn't driving a car. So they got egg all over their faces. I thought that was quite humorous.
Awesome.
But obviously not. Obviously not. Right. So bosses at BBC Radio Tour playing a censored version of the girl band's hit single "Spice Up Your Life" in case the word yellow offends listeners. The lyrics, Yellow Man in Timbuktu, colour for both me and you, have been censored from the song.
This is what's wrong with the United Kingdom.
And this is what we're coming to, because here we go. Police hunt for Britain's most wanted 12-year-old after traveller child who drove BMW X5 for 40 miles while towing a stolen caravan fails to turn up in court. Surprise, surprise. What made you think he would?
You can't, I mean...
I can't say what I want to say to that.
Well,
what do you want to say?
I'm not sure which part of that story is the most crazy, frankly. I mean, apart from the fact that how did travellers end up with BMW X5s?
Well, they don't pay tax.
A small child has stolen a car, Tiana.
No, he didn't. He didn't steal a car. Caravan. He didn't steal a car. He stole a caravan. He stole a caravan. Yeah, I mean,
and he's failed to turn up in court.
Right?
Maybe search the stolen caravan.
Yeah, I don't think he'll bin that. Actually, one thing. There's a couple of things that we skipped because some of them were a bit. You could talk about that. Well, no, let's not bother because it will bring the mood down. Are we done? I've got one left.
You're good at doing. You're good at bringing the mood down, anyway, John.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers, mate. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Lots.
What do you want to talk about?
There's always lots to talk about.
Yeah,
I mean there is always lots.
It usually just ends up with lots of ranting and raving. Because literally you could scroll through Twitter for about 30 seconds and you'd find some.
Why do you think I don't really use that hellscape anymore? Right? Why do you think I don't really use that hellscape? Because and you know, I'll say this to the people here. I've said it before, but this is the reason I don't do this show every week anymore. Is because it was just bringing me down up here. It was just bringing me down so much. Like I've really enjoyed doing it tonight. But I just do not enjoy doing it on the regular and having to read all this stuff and getting absorbed into the news and things like that.
I'm the opposite. I find it cathartic.
That's fair enough, but it just
do you avoid
it just ground me down.
Do you not watch the news at all?
No.
That's kind of putting your head in the
sand. I find out about. I usually get off Twitter.
Is that not kind of putting your head in the sand, though?
Well, yes and no, but because you know this is going to sound extremely selfish, but I have a wife and children that I need to put first.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when my mental health is driven through the floor, it affects them. And when I'm in a better mindset, it affects the household more positively. Especially being, you know, and I know you don't like me mentioning it, but especially being autistic and having meltdowns and things like that, I know that that heavily affects the people around me. So being in the mindset that I've put myself in and doing the things that I'm doing, it doesn't just help me mentally, but it helps the people around me. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And I'm not going to apologize for putting myself in a better mindset when I know that what I was doing was ultimately harming my children and harming my wife.
Meanwhile, I think Ed might require medical attention.
Fine.
Are you choking again? You think by
Wine
the time...
went down the wrong way.
Sorry?
The wine went down the wrong way.
My God, by the time you get to like 50 odd, you'd think you'd learn how to drink and smoke without choking to death.
Like just continuing from what I was saying, I know I'll walk away from this tonight not feeling down because I've enjoyed myself and I've enjoyed the conversation with you two. And I've enjoyed it as something that is not something that I have to put my head into every minute of every day.
Yeah.
And it just hits differently for me. But when it got like, we were doing it for about 4 years, and sometimes we were doing daily shows, and we had just having to read news and absorb things and seeing, videos of people being killed and things like that all day, every day. It just got me up here. So,
yeah. Well, fair dues. But
ultimately, you have to look after yourself.
You do.
I mean, as you say, you've got a wife and kid. I'm on my own, so
yeah,
it's the only person I've got to drive crazy is myself, and I do that. I'm world expert in that, so that's fine.
I mean, I know we've got people like Emma and Britmate and others in the chat that constantly ask me to come back on and do this show, but I hope that in explaining why I don't do it often anymore, they'll understand. And you know where to find me. It's not like we've gone away.
Indeed, right. So, well, let's wrap it up. So the last one, I thought this was particularly fitting for a Scottish man to present. In 2022, Miss Scotland bit 2 security guards and called one the N-word as she was kicked out of a rugby competition. That's my girl.
Scottish behaviour.
That's my girl. That's a cracker.
Typical Scottish behaviour, that. Typical Scottish behaviour.
I've got to applaud that.
I did see the story, and I'm thinking, this is Miss Scotland. How is this even a story? I mean, surely...
just normal behaviour.
Yeah, but she gets a certain elevated status, I suppose, because she was Miss Scotland.
I mean, yeah, you have to. I mean, with a temper like that, you do kind of have to hand it to her for managing to control herself enough to win Miss Scotland.
They're always doing it. What was it? One of the girls on.
She probably threatened the judges.
One of the girls on. I think it was another Miss Scotland that was on Radio Clyde as a presenter. She got fired after she said that Samantha Mumba reminded her of a. Can I say simian?
Oh God! Oh God!
So she got fired after that. Hey, I'm only reporting what she said. I'm not saying that I thought that.
Right. Well, you still reported it, so this is Britain in 2025 is probably going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, probably.
There'll be a knock on the door soon, John.
Yeah.
You think they don't know where you live? Think again.
You're right, mate. You're right.
They know, John. They know.
So there you go, people. I hope you've enjoyed that tonight. It's been a blast. I don't know if I like doing it sober.
It's more fun with a drink, I have to say.
I am just constantly sober, so this is what it is. But no, boys, I've really enjoyed myself tonight, much more than I thought I would. And whilst I won't do it again next week, I'm quite happy to do it again in a month or two, and keep popping up because I know that people do enjoy it. So. Yeah, but they all know where to find me over at Real Review UK. And I'll actually be doing a live stream tomorrow with Vaughan, I think, from Legoland Winter.
Oh, a live stream from Legoland?
Yeah, we're going to take a look around Miniland on live stream.
Are you going to stomp on buildings?
I mean, if I stomp on buildings, I'll probably get kicked out.
Oh, right. That would be cool, though, because then you could actually translate that into your Fortnite character.
Yeah, that's very true. And speaking of which, I'll be on there in about 15 minutes. And also Britmate was asking earlier on in the chat, when's the next fortnight stream? Well, we're going to do it every fortnight on a Wednesday. So we're going to do fortnight every fortnight.
Are you still going ahead with that?
Oh, we might just play, John.
Yeah, playing's okay. But as you can see from what happened today when we were supposed to be discussing things, we got nothing discussed.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think we had a good time, especially the fact that me and
yeah,
Ed seem to be on the same page regarding you.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I don't have friends. I hate everybody. Right, okay, with that, I'm pretty sure it's been great for you. What happened there?
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots all straight to the face.